Welcome. This is Melinda Barlow, CZT, Certified Zentangle Teacher, and let's see, there I am. So we are going to have a live Zoom class today, but I thought I would film for those who can't make it and just show you what we're going to do in the live Zoom class and maybe do one of these. We're going to do cadence and let's see, my brain isn't working, so I've got to get out my cheat sheet, and opus with an aura around it, and I colored it with colored pencils. These two happen to be my favorite that I'm teaching today. This is Swarm with a little Chirac by Diana Lance, CZT, and I love it with Swarm. And then of course I've got some Indirella flying out of Swarm. So, but this is a fun one. And then my last one that I'm going to teach is Sia, and this is Sia, and this is what I've done with it. It's not this one's not quite completely done, but it's kind of fun. And so we are going to get started, and I am going to get my pens out and we will get going. Okay, now I've got my tiles here. I'm going to work on a phi tile. So I've got several phi tiles, and I'm going to demonstrate some on a bijou tile. These little tiny ones, which are so fun. When I demonstrate on these, I have a little book that I carry. I'll get it. This is the little book that I carry, and I put little, I had it upside down, bijou tiles in it, and I just glue them in, and with different little ideas, so that sometimes when I am out and about, I can't think of what to draw. So I put them in this little tiny book. Some are just little circles, but anyway, it's a fun little book. So I will put some of these in my little tiny book. So let's get started, and I'm going to start with what I'm going to do in my class today, so that I can, sometimes just get a little practice. And so we're going to start with cadence and opus. And I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to put dots in the corners because that's the traditional way. And then I'm going to border. And my borders, I always tell people, my borders are not straight because they're not. And then I'm just going to give this a string. I'm just going to divide it into two and just see what happens. Then I turn it over and away we go. So I'm going to do cadence down here. I think I'll do cadence up here at the top. And I am going to, you can do cadence with a little square, or you can do it with a circle. And I am going to just make little squares along then come down and make little squares directly underneath the top ones. And of course, you've probably done cadence before, and you know that you can use circles, you can fill these in, and I'm going to give myself another string because I don't want to go that far, and I will see what I do with it. And there we have cadence. Now, cadence has a little wavy line that goes to it, and it starts on one side and ends up on the other. So I usually like to do mine vertically because I don't know, and mine are not evenly spaced. Look at these ones down here at the bottom, they're very close, and I could do an imaginary line that says it goes underneath that border or to the border. And I'll do this one so it has that. And then I rotate my tile because I find that much easier, and do the same thing going the opposite direction. This is really a fun little weave. And I decided I needed to draw today because it is March the 7th, and we got another 6 inches of snow last night. I am really, really tired of this snow. Matter of fact, it's causing a lot of anxiety and depression. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in because I think this tangle needs drama. If you only have white and, you know, a lot of white space, you can get your drama with shading. And I'm going to do that so it goes off the edge there. But I think that this was really meant to be filled in, and the reason I didn't fill it in before in the first place when I was doing them, I have no reason. You could fill these in before you drew your lines. You could fill them in after, you know, whatever. But I don't know. I should have just filled them in before because I knew I was going to fill them in. But I didn't. So we fill them all in. And I will probably come back and make them a little bit more, you know, defined. And then you can tangle in, you can do, you know, like anything in the center. I'm just going to do a basic aura of the shape. So all of these are just going to get a basic, just an aura. So on the ones you can see, they're kind of a square put in there. I think tangling really does help me with the anxiety. What I'm worried about is we've gotten so much snow. There's probably a good 8 feet in the back where it has come off the roof of our house and stacked up. It's well over our heads. Of course, I'm only 5 feet, so it's not hard to be over my head. And I just worry about flooding. Oh, you can hear my husband with the tractor plowing the, well, it's really our four-wheeler, plowing the snow, pushing it out, because that's what we do almost every day. It seems like, or every other day we've done it, especially on a Tuesday. So there we have cadence, and it is extremely, you know, straightforward. I'm just fixing these little squares that I didn't color in very well, and we'll come back and shade that in a moment. but we are going to do opus with an aura. And I'm just going to start on here. I really like opus because it's so much like fescue. And you can see I am not obeying the lines of the string. I decided my opus needed to fill up this whole space. So now I'm going to go down from the bottom, and so you just come up, and I always, when I do opus, I like it to go out and touch the border. Or over the top of the border. So there's my opus. And now I'm going to aura each one of these. And I'm going to start here. I'm just going to aura the stem. Come up on the inside and around and back. And I did a little holly bob, so it's underneath. Now I'm going to do the next one. So it comes up, around on the inside, come back around. I'm going to stop there because that is my line, and come down. Then another one. And you can see I go very slow because I am contemplating or meditating or zenning, whatever we want to call it, as I draw. And there I have auraed. So now I'm going to aura the other ones, and I was going to pause it and just aura them, but I think I'll just speed it up when I edit. Really couldn't decide where I had stopped. I hadn't really stopped on the border. So that one's going to go up underneath. So now I can fill in, and one of the things I really like to fill in with is just a shape. And I'm going to thicken the, I'm probably going to color this in completely, but right now I'm just going to thicken the lines, and we'll see what happens when I this is one of my favorite ways to, to aura again, is to aura it and then thicken up your line, give it some weight. I should do this with an 05 pen. That would be a little easier, but I have the 01 in my hand, so. And I love Aura-ing. Ooh, I should have made that a sharp corner. I didn't. I kind of rounded it, and I don't want it rounded. So I can fix that as I thicken the lines. I'm going to come back in with a, I'm going to see if I can find my 05 pen. There it is. And just thicken these up. I worry when I thicken with my 01, I'm very heavy-handed, and I try not to be, but sometimes I am, and so I tend to push too hard. Put a little tiny one right there. But you can see how that is just, and you can come in to these spaces and Aura. See, you can see how much easier it is to get that dark with just your 05 pen. And I don't have to color in as much. But you can just put those in. And now when we shade this will be lots of fun to shade because of the fact that it has some, I'm going to fix this, some dark spaces that will, you know, just help us shade it better. So we can shade this with color pencil, or we can shade it with black, but we're going to shade with a color pencil. Okay, I got out my color pencils, and I decided I was just going to do a bright sunshiny day. You know, my husband played that this morning for me because I was saying I was feeling a little blue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of color pencil in these corners because I'm going to use a little odorless paint thinner to kind of blend them. So I am going to also put a little orange. And we will see what I get. Just into those, you can see this is going to just pop with this color. And I am going to put a little orange in Cadence just on one side of that square. Have to make sure I get them all because sometimes I will skip things and I don't intend to. And I'm going to use my, is this the color? Can't tell what color I used. I'm going to add a little yellow over the top of that orange, and we'll see what happens. Okay, now this is where the magic comes. Is I get out my odorless paint thinner, and of course I keep it in a little in a jar, a little jar, so I can with this sponge because it just makes it more well. Got to move things just a tiny bit. to get to my shading stumps. And I have a huge jar of shading stumps that are used, but they're not wore out. So here it is. I've got one, and you can see it's got it's got paint or something on it. So I'm just going to take an emery board, and you've seen me do this before, and I'm just going to clean it off. Just there we go. So now it's clean again. Now I can shade with this. So I'm going to dip my shading stump in my odorless paint thinner, and I don't think it has a smell. Some people think it does. So now I'm just going to blend my color pencil so that I can blend it into these little spaces. And looks like my dog just got let in. I can hear her. I don't know if you can hear her coming in. She likes to come into the studio. I have if you can see behind me, that's my new barn doors that I made out of barnwood. And I call this my studio because it's my studio where I teach, where I do Zoom classes, where I do all the little stuff I do. But I own a convertible, PT Cruiser convertible, and with this kind of weather, nobody parks their convertibles outside, so she must be parked inside. So when I converted my my garage into a studio, we left room for me to have my PT Cruiser parked in here when I'm not teaching. When I teach, and I teach today, I will pull the PT Cruiser out. If it's snowing, it will get covered, and then I will teach. So it's called a studio, not a garage, not a studio, but a studio. So there is my Opus and Cadence tile. Now, I think it could probably use a little bit more shading. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to come up, just up the center. And now I'm going to take a shading stump and just blend these out. I can see lines from where I had, I was going to do the string. I can get it here in a minute. And so I'm just going to blend out, but that just gives it another little look. Well, there we go with Cadence and an Opus, and it's shaded. You can find lots of ways to do this. So there we have Cadence and Opus. So now I'm going to continue. I usually don't do long videos, but I am going to do one more. I'm going to get out my Opus tile, and I am going to adjust my camera just a little bit because I need to draw closer to me. And we are going to do Swarm, and I can't remember the name of it. That is, I have to get my cheat sheet here. And Chirac. So we are going to start out with Swarm, and I'm just going to start in the center here. And I always say I think of the Wi-Fi signal, but it's not really a Wi-Fi signal. When I do Indirella, it's really is, but we're just doing graduated lines. So there's a long one, then they get shorter and shorter. Then the next one, you draw a line right under that, and then you draw your little lines out. And it doesn't really matter how many lines you draw, and or and you can see I'm just rotating around. So I just rotated around in a circle, drawing swarm. We used to have bees, and one time they swarmed, and it was a beautiful sight. We did get them to go back in the hives, but the swarming, you could see them just swirl and swirl and swirl up, and they were all coming out of the hive, and I'm sure the queen just thought it was time to, it was too crowded, and she was leaving. And we did put another box on, and we stopped the swarm, which is not easy to do. So we're going to do it again, and this time I'm going to just always draw a line underneath the one you did before, or to the side. Now I'm going to show you how I made this one just kind of move out. It can go any direction you want it to. Where's my sample? Do-do-do-do. Sometimes that happens to me when I am teaching. Here is my sample of swarm. And so you can see it's just a matter of they're always connected. So now if I look at this, I think, where can I go? I can go here because I'm drawing under. I could go here because I'm drawing under the here. I can turn it and have another one that turns in. But I just find this a very satisfying tangle to do. I at first did not particularly, I couldn't follow it. It just wouldn't work for me. And I think when you have a tangle that you simply just can't get, set it aside and try it later, because it will come to you. So I'm going to intermix my rock and in with this. So rock, and it's SH-ROCK. So it really is rock. Okay, so I'm just going to start, and you just start by laying down a bunch of X's. Just random X's. And if they end up not being random enough, you can go in and add some underneath. So now we're going to just aura this with rounded pieces. So like a 4-leaf clover or a rock. Sure, it's shamrock. That's why I'm doing it in March. Okay, when you don't have room, you draw under, or holly baw. And I could put one here if I wanted to have it filled in a little bit more. Or I can make my rocks a little, the outline on them just a little bit bigger. But I'm even okay if they don't, you know, if they're not filled in close. You can see I just decided I would add a X right there. So you can add some to it if you have found that you just don't have an, you know, like I could put one right here before I do this one. I'm going to do this one, so this one is underneath all of those. But look how it's as much fun to do. It's so random, and I think it blends well with Swarm because it, I don't know, I just really liked the two together. Hence, that's why I chose those two. But you can see this coming into fruition with the, and we can always take our swarm and swarm right up under that after we get done, so it looks like our swarm is going into our rock. And so I will continue to go on with this one, and I'm going to show you how I shaded it. I just shaded it with green and yellow, and I just really love how it turned out. And so I am anxious for this one. I love to use this size because I can make a card out of it. I can write a little sentiment on the back because these are not official Zentangle cards. They're ones I cut and sell them and draw on. So there's a little back that you can write a sentiment or something, and you've got a cute little card to give away. So I'm going to find my, here is, oh, and I should have shown you this one. I did a little, I just did it different. You can see the two, how I did them a little differently. I'll get my camera. And so there's our four. Now I'm going to sneak in one more. I know this is way longer than I usually do. And I am going to do the Sia. And I'm just going to do it on here so I can glue it in my book. So I need a stem. And then I'm going to put a V down one side, turn it, and do a V on the other side of it. Now we're just going to cap those. And add a little bit of drama in here by putting a little petal in the center. And now we're going to draw a line out, and I do this in all one step, and I'm going to make the leaf. So it comes out and then comes back down. The original step outs were to draw this and then come back and draw this. But I don't want to come back, so I am just going to draw it as I go. They kind of look like little devil ears, I think, or something. But then I'm going to put a little line in here just to give it some. And this is Sia. And very basic. It looked like little bows. I was looking for the one I did. Yeah, there they are. I did it on a longer tile and colored it, and I needed a little bit more my movement. This one I just colored part of it because I'm going to color in, but I can give this a little bit more by putting some fescue in here, which just softens, I think, that harshness out of it. And there you have C, yeah. And it's C-YEAH. So enjoy. I had fun with this one, and I will post it after my class. Well, maybe I'll post it before my class if I can get it edited before one. So enjoy. I hope if you can come to the live class, great. If not, you got a class here. Thanks. Bye-bye.